This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. In a bit, we'll be getting straight to our newspaper headlines for this morning, just to let you in on all that we have from our desk. And right after that is our main conversation. But please do well to be part of what we do. You can always find and reach us at enterprise@tvnews.com. You may equally like, comment respectfully, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise@TV7. We're so very honored to have with us right here in our studios Emeka Madonago, journalist, public affairs analyst, and Innocent Adoluba, communicator and public affairs analyst. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
And welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so very much for your time. Now let's start today, interestingly, with the first newspaper on our desk, and that is the Punch newspaper. We have a laundry list of stories here, very interesting ones. On the bottom strip here, Lagos Assembly says Tinubu's wife, that is Oluremi Tinubu, not involved in the crisis happening with the Lagos State House of Assembly. And after that, we have immigration arrest 40 illegal migrants in Oyo. Osun crisis, police go after killers. Local government polls hold Saturday. And we have other stories, very interesting ones here. On the big story, workers in 109 embassies gone over 6 months unpaid salaries. Ministries promise to clear arrears. Ex-envoy kicks on the top strip here. On a very sad one, of course, but a life well spent. Tinubu on passenger orders mourn as Edwin Clark dies at 97. I think let's love us to start with Edwin Clark this morning. So you all can at least give us a little bit of the time of Edwin Clark, what he has done. Lots of people actually thought it was JP Clark. It's confusing. When you say Edwin Clark, they tell you, is it JP Clark? So tell us, Emeka Madonago.
Edwin Clark was he was a foremost figure in the Niger Delta. In fact, he was the leader of the Niger Delta as we know it today. But his political activism dated back to the time when the Midwest was created in 1963. So he had actually done it. He was the national president of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, which was really pushing hard for the transformation of the Niger Delta. Then in conjunction with some other groups across the country, they also pushed for certain issues, under the South Middle Belt Elders Forum. So there are a lot of things they had actually put together. He had actually put together, and he was vocal. He was a reporter's delight. Any day he was ready to speak his mind, without fear of anybody. But sadly, you can see his, compatriot Bahaya Debanjo passed on last Friday.
Yeah.
And look at it, he passed on yesterday.
So 2 days.
You can see that Nigeria is losing, men of a glorious generation. A glorious generation that saw Nigeria when Nigeria was working. A glorious generation of people that, we are proud to be called Nigerians. We are proud to be a part of Nigeria. But sadly, that generation, excuse me, and Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka called the wasted generation.
Really?
Yes.
And why was
I don't know, maybe he felt that with all of the good things, the goodies they enjoyed, all of the things, that they controlled and all of that, they were not able to translate all of that into, making Nigeria, a country for all of us to be proud of today. And it's a big tragedy, I mean, you could imagine, that Nigeria should be, much better than what it is today. Well, look at what we are seeing. nobody's happy about it. And they too were not happy about it. They were not happy about it. Now they have left. Some years ago was Chief Mbazulika Amechi, aka the boy is good, was Minister of Aviation. E.K. Clark was Minister of Information, I think under Go On. Then the boy is good, Minister of Aviation in the First Republic, gone. And some others like that, gone. Look at Chivaya Adebanjo, who was an associate of the former Premier of the Western Region, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, gone. And you see many of them, you see that's how history, history is being lost because these men had a lot of ideas. And, well, we mourn their passage. We mourn them, we mourn them because those are men that, could give you a beautiful headline any day as a reporter.
Very, very true.
Yes.
Innocent Aduluba, Emeka rightly has made it clear history has been lost. We're just losing history. With the caliber of leaders we have today in Nigeria, unfortunately, who are not open to direction from some of these elder statesmen when they were with us here. How bad is our situation, really?
I think Emeka has given a good groundwork to the story we are discussing. Edwin Clark, a teacher turned lawyer, is a respected statesman. From today, he's an Ijo from today's Delta State. I think his name makes that family popular, Bekederemo, in Kiambodo Kingdom, in the Delta State. He has worked with some prominent administrators, Samuel Ogbemudia, David Ejo, and like Emeka said, within that time frame of the reign of President or Head of State Yakubu Gowon, I think at some point in our history, Edwin Clark was a rallying voice. Yes, he was able to at least call orderliness in critical times in the Niger Delta.
Called orderliness in the Niger Delta that wasn't, of course, respected. I remember the feud between Nyesom Wike and Fubara. He stepped into it, but of course, Wike didn't even didn't listen.
It's one thing to offer, it's another thing for another person to receive. So if he's waded in, we are now looking at, we are just adding our voices to the avalanche of tributes that has greeted him. He tells you whether he will be heard or not. He didn't sit on the fence. Such was his nature. I think he was also a vocal, is that grammar allowed, a vocal voice? Especially in the days when the boat under President Buhari was also, not steady. Edwin Clark has not been a man who is afraid to speak truth to power or raise concerns. So maybe that's where people mistake him with the poets.
Yes, exactly. J.P. Clark, yeah.
So, like Emeka mentioned, individuals can be unique from a group. He was a federal commissioner in the then military government. Yes, we've heard from Shonika, a wasted generation, but I think he kept his voice alive till he left the stage. Yes, things may have been better, because in truth, if we hear of the Nigeria of yesteryears, I bought one James Hadley Chase when I was at 200 level in Unilag, and behind it they were writing there, I saw the $2, $1 naira. And I was, oh, so once upon a time the naira was twice the value of the. So such were the days they enjoyed that they never sustained onto us now. But of course, he is a solitary person among the lots at the government, at the head of affairs, controlling and allocating resources. I think he will be missed in Delta. I don't know for today what sole big voice can call people home and they gather to There may be, I don't know, in that stature of the fallen patriot. Like he had listed Banjo and some of them. It seems that when death knocks, the inevitability is to respond.
Very, very true. Of course, there's no gainsaying that Edwin Clark has been a notable voice in the Niger Delta region. He speaks to authority and stands with the people. But taking a look at his position on the Ken Saro-Wiwa's case, of course, he was on the side of Ken Saro-Wiwa. But of course, the people who were victims, the children of the murdered chiefs in that particular saga weren't happy with his position. So how do we play on that, especially with regards to history? People are listening, young people want to learn. How do we balance such a situation where some people are for and other people are against, with respect to somebody like Edwin Clark, of course, whom lots of people have revered?
You would expect in a conflict situation that people will take different sides, and that's what happened. Was Ken Saro-Wiwa convicted for killing anybody? No. But they just, somehow that was how the verdict went. The way the trial was rushed, the way everything was done, was regarded as a travesty of justice. But there are people even till today who say that yes, Ken Saro-Wiwa, the Ogoni 9 got a just judgment. That's what they will say. But there are also others who say no, that they were unfortunately, they were not given a fair trial. So, we might just look beyond that unfortunate episode to the fact that today the Niger Delta has come a long way. At least the Niger Delta has the NDDC, Niger Delta Development Commission. There's a Ministry of Niger Delta. Niger Delta is getting 13% derivation. Niger Delta states getting 13% derivation.
We can extend that even to Ompadek.
Yeah, the Ompadek. Yes, and all of those things. So, but sadly, poverty still remains pervasive in the Niger Delta. I've traveled widely around the Niger Delta. Poverty remains pervasive. And what it will take will be the ingenuity of the federal government, the governors and politicians from that region, to just turn things around. As an individual and as a businessman, I've been to some of these places and I've seen areas of opportunity, which, but, Nigerian politicians are not wired to, look for opportunities that endure, that are sustainable. So that's why you see them building bridges, building roads, building airports. They tell you are building a smart city. What is that? People don't have regular power supply. I'm talking of a smart city. What's a smart city exactly? Do you know a smart city is going to consume a lot of power?
And possibly from the solar option.
So which solar? How reliable is solar? We're talking about solar is just alternatives. Actually, it's supposed to be an alternative. You cannot power full industries, heavy industries with solar. And it's basically mainly about home appliances. The way we use solar in Nigeria. You go to some places in Nigeria that you see solar everywhere. And the question I ask is, why is there no regular power supply?
Despite the gas...
you have gas in this place. Why don't you have regular power supply? You have abundant gas. A place like Bayelsa State, no gas. Go to Delta State. Gas, but no electricity. Go to Delta State. Go to River State. On and on. Even Akwa Ibom State, there are places you don't have power supply. Go to all of these places. Cross River State is terrible. Cross River State is in a mess. No roads. I was there recently and oh my. I said, how can you maintain a vehicle plying these roads in a year? It's suicidal. I saw people grinding gari by the side of the road in the night. I don't know how they were doing it. in the dark, no light. And then people have been sold this false narrative. Oh, well, okay, solar can take. I was arguing with one woman in a public bus. I said, Madam, no. Let there be the regular power supply, the standard power supply, grid or off grid. Then solar can now take the place of, can now, inverters and all of that can be as a standing option, especially for residential homes. You see so many businesses have closed up. I went to the market, Swali market in Agua, the capital of Bayelsa, and you could see, I saw snails, fish, there was the one they called wild catfish, there was the one they called domesticated catfish. All of this, I saw a lot of these things, palm oil and all that, but you could still see the pervasive poverty. Why? Bayelsa, at that time I went there in late 2024, had been without power for 4 to 5 months because vandals, brought down some towers, bringing power to them from Ahoda, from Omoko, to Bayelsa. And Bayelsa State has a turbine at Imiringi, 2 turbines at Imiringi, which were, set up there by the former governor, Belford Okilo, former governor of Rivers State.
That must be.
But what happened? What has happened to those turbines? The federal government now has liberalized power generation and power distribution. How many states have signed, passed their own electricity act? How many states have domesticated that act? How many states? But governors are talking of building airports. So what it tells you is that, oh my, every part of this country suffers from a lack of leadership, absence of serious leadership. And it's a disaster.
Very, very true. And this is why the people like Edwin Clark, Pa Adebanjo are a renowned people, of course, that stood in the gap, as great people, spoke truth to authority and called truth what it was exactly. But let's get to other matters here. Inflation drop. Expert demands lower interest rate. And let me start with you, Innocent Aduluba. Wale Edu, of course, said that inflation miraculously dropped from 36% to 24%. And of course, Nigerians are asking themselves, where is this dropping? Where exactly has it dropped when the cost of food remains the same?
I think that's where we should respect the tag miraculously. And then maybe drift again. It could be a political mystery. These are the welcoming news in the times we are in. Anybody will welcome to hear that inflation has dropped. So it's one thing to hear, it's another thing, the impact. So we know that, like I would tell anybody, President Tinubu is working very hard. Very, very hard. But the impact is what people want to see and talk about. So if the Honorable Minister Edu has mentioned this, we would now expect a corresponding drop in certain costs to reflect the true happening of a drop in inflation. Because where this is happening abstractly and in the physical, everything remains the same. It will just be, the effort will be like winking in the dark. Nigerians, you go out there and ask how much is one egg, just an egg, or an onion, tomato. I'm talking of staples.
Staples, yeah.
You have not asked of how much is a bunch of plantain, a bag of rice, beans, and move up to yam, where if you hear some of the prices now, you will take back your hand. So it's good news, it's welcoming, but I think the government, in their intent to rebuild, should take lending rates down. There are manufacturers, SMEs springing up. What are the lending rates? They are grossing double digits.
Yeah, it's still the same.
So if it's like a car wheel, the needle, wherever the needle goes, the thread will follow. So if this inflation is dropping, let other staples, other commercials, other social aspects of life reflect this. And the society, the masses, struggling for 1 meal per day at this time, can heave a sigh of relief.
Very true. Mecca, I would love to ask you the metrics upon which this is actually determined. You know, when people just wake up in the morning and tell Nigerians like we were all dumb and of course didn't go to school to learn some of these things. Explain to us metrics that are involved in driving inflation down. Because the much I know, it's not just, it's all encompassing. The economy has to work. Like Innocent did say, what is our interest rate like? And of course, we've not seen any of those. And here we have Wale saying inflation has dropped down.
No, well, I'll just quote the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. That is just a reflection of a different measurement.
What measurement?
Of inflation, a different way of measuring inflation. You know, so they rebase the economy, added some things, and then now looked at it that okay, if the economy is bigger, you know, by reason of these activities, you know, by reason of bringing in more, you know, a lot more things from the informal sector, then can we be talking of inflation in this way? Can't we look at inflation relative to the activities, you know, but not necessarily the drop in prices? So all of this is just economics at play, you know, economic politics at play. You know, because if you want to base Nigeria's performance on GDP, by the time you bring in the informal sector significantly, you are going to say that, of course, you're going to say that Nigeria's economy is bigger than what, you know, it has been rebased to. But the point is, wages are still stagnant. Even the 70,000 minimum wage, has the federal government been paying it? No, we just talked about missions being owed salaries abroad. You know, I mean, workers' missions being owed abroad, being owed salaries. Then many states are not paying. Then we are talking about, you know, food prices remaining high. They are not, even the ones that have dropped slowly. There wasn't a significant drop, excuse me, in the prices. Then you go on, unemployment still remains high. You know, and then so at the end of the day, just a revised way of calculating inflation. It's not actually addressing the issue. If you talk about the interest rate, now there is a conundrum there. The interest rates actually favor investment in the stock exchange, you know, in the capital and money markets,
and not the real sector,
and not the real sector. Now that is where you have a conundrum. You have a contradiction, you know, because the real sector is a place that provides jobs, that boosts incomes, that makes prices stable enough, you know, and affordable. But where the earning capacity of people, the purchasing power is low, which is what has happened, then you can rebase to any level. What you end up doing is just, you know, playing drama, you know, just a musical drama with figures. The reality on ground is not showing. So what needs to be done is this. The government should say, okay, we have said that this year we intend to bring inflation rate down to 15%. We intend to bring the dollar to naira exchange rate down to 1,400, 1,500. Okay. Now, can we have an ambitious target and say, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to, first of all, attack the high prices of food items in terms of bad roads, in terms of extortion on the highways by security agents and all these government agents, in terms of expanding food production. For instance, I expected the governor of Niger State, Omar Bago, has, you know, made a lot of very positive, you know, comments about, you know, contributing to expanding Nigeria's food supply. But I thought the federal government should have, you know, taken up a partnership with somebody like that to say, okay, if somebody who said he's willing, if the resources are there, he's willing, he'll be willing to pay 1 million naira as minimum wage.
No, he has been brought in loads of tractors. Yes.
Yeah, so what he's saying is this. What I'm saying is that if the federal government can work with somebody like that, as a matter of fact, Niger State alone can feed the whole of Nigeria. because I think it should be the biggest state in Nigeria. So it can feed the whole of Nigeria, So if the federal government were to decisively tackle banditry, kick those characters away, and then knowing that we have 3 hydro dams in Niger State, so use it, set up a captive system, for keeping water, for ensuring there's irrigation, that you have all season farming, all year round. Thank you. That's what I was going to say. All year round farming, So start with Niger State as a pilot. Then you can now go to other states. Building on your success in Niger, you can go to other states and say, okay, this was what we did in Niger. Can we apply it in all these other states? Then you're going to see that, for instance, rice. Like right now, a lot of people have migrated to the rural areas in places like Taraba and all that, in preparation for rice cultivation. So all they're waiting for now is for the rains to start. Because rice is a very lucrative. I never knew it's so lucrative. Rice is very lucrative. A lot of people, I'm telling you, I even learned civil servants and all that. They are now taking, instead of taking their vacations, in December at Christmas, they now take their vacation in the early part of the year, so that they can have like a month, go and stay on the farm, and do a lot. So when you now adopt mechanization, in mechanized farming, of course, it will make it fast. It will double or triple the rate of production. That is 1. 2, if you make fertilizers available, it will make food production, more easily attainable. Then again, you need to talk about production, processing, agro-processing. Because why do farmers remain poor? Because they stick to that subsistence method. But where you train them, for instance, in handling tractors, you also train them in agro-processing and things like that. So you will find out that their economy, their incomes will improve. They won't be at the mercy if the government can come in between, or take some of these products, at agreed prices with farmers. You see that the farmers will not be wretched. They'll be happy. They will not be wretched. So government needs to step in. The government talked about removing duty on imported food. But you see, the thing is this: bringing in imported food has its own issues, health issues and all of that. How are people going to sell all of these things? Then you're also going to put the local market, at risk. So the government needs to step in, bring in, do a, what's it called? A stimulus. Chinwo announced that there was going to be a stimulus plan in October last year. In October of 2023. I don't know what has happened. Let there be a stimulus plan to help agriculture, to help industries. You shouldn't have sat back and allowed all these industries, Glaxo and the rest of them, to leave Nigeria. That was very wrong. Right. For me, if I had the president, I would have, sat down with those people and at least done certain things to keep them, because they were employing thousands of workers. So, but you just kept quiet and these people left. Then you are saying you are working on job creation. What are you talking about? Thousands of jobs are being lost. And we know that in Nigeria, for every person that is gainfully employed, there are at least 5 dependents. So if one company that had 10, like Glaxo had 10, was set to have like 10,000 employees, what you're talking about is 50,000. You are feeding, that company was feeding 50,000 Nigerians. And then you allow them to go, not to talk of others that have left. So you don't, you don't focus on buying a jet for the president, buying an official car for the president, renovating the vice president's residence to 21 billion. Do you know what 21 billion will actually energize no fewer than 1 million SMEs?
Very true.
That will employ nothing less than 2 each. That will now automatically put 2 million people. Government thinks it can create jobs. No, it's not the job of government to create jobs outside civil service jobs.
Very true.
What government needs to do is just build SMEs, young people. Just pump money, interest-free loans into the things they are doing. you will see that if there is power, deal with power. Let there be regular power. If there is power, let me tell you something. You will see the ingenuity of Nigerians. If you see what young people are innovating now, young people in secondary schools, when you go to innovation exhibitions, when you see what they are doing, oh.
All right, so while we're talking
Wonderful.
about power and its importance to running our economy, on the Vanguard newspaper, the big story here is a special report actually. High electricity costs are choking teaching hospitals to death. We just had the issue of UCH Ibadan. Of course, it had been 107 days out of no lights actually.
Wait, high electricity costs.
Yes, high
Choking
electricity, so choking teaching hospitals to death.
Well, it's a hydra-headed situation. The power he mentioned relating to innovation among you is also extremely needed in hospitals.
Very well.
You see, it's appalling that people rush family members to hospital only for them to go and die avoidably. You know, if I want to use my house of how many bedrooms, say from 4-5 years ago, about 5,000 naira, the unit it could procure serves me in a month.
Yeah.
About 2 months later, from say 21 naira per unit, they've increased it. As I'm talking to you today, just me, my children, and my immediate family, and when we are going out, we switch off. 30,000 naira is not enough. It's not enough. So that's me. By the time you put all of such a running cost on a hospital, which must be on for whatever gadgets that you know, we don't know what tube and this and that
blood banks and all.
Even there are pharmaceutical refrigerators.
Definitely.
Where things must be constantly cooled, preserved, or
even patients on ICU.
You can imagine.
Babies in incubators.
Yeah.
So, just like the way you said the government could speak to the let's say the departing industry, they should have some form of, I don't know that they work with hospitals. Have these places employ labor, pay taxes, give them certain concession that will increase the faith of the masses in the hospital. As we are now, there are many families in quote we know are terribly poor. You need to see them scrambling for funds to still fly family members abroad because of some of these things we're talking about. And the primary function of any government is safety of life, and it doesn't mean there must be riot for policemen to go and quell. In some advanced countries, even what we have discussed is free for the citizens.
Yeah.
There are health insurances here and there that caters for health. So, and it's becoming, I don't know if the government are alive to this. Like he has mentioned, Nigeria is drained by massive rivers. I don't know the year. I don't know, maybe I can be helped, that we built a dam last. If you take out
maybe that was 1985.
You know, if you take out Kenji Shiroro and the existing dams, I mean the size of the population now has outgrown the number. So like he mentioned, whereas you are renovating houses, palaces and jets, there are wherever there is a flowing river, there can be a dam. So why would Anambra, Calabar be waiting for the residue of power distribution from Kainji? There is a river cross in Calabar. There is an Anambra river.
There is even gas. There is gas.
There are gas. You know, wherever you go, Kaduna has a river. Hadejia is a river. You know, all these Jigawa, there are rivers. So when was the last time we explored alternatives or improve the existing sources of power? And now, hospitals that is a refuge, look at it. It has become an automatic gate to take people as mortuary before getting in. Even the hospitals also needs this power to preserve corpses.
Very true. It's actually appalling. And while we're talking about electricity, we have on the top street here, education suffers reduced allocation as NAS amends a past 2025 budget. Emeka, from one problem to another.
That's the sad thing, that I was even trying to talk about. Is healthcare, is it a service or a right? That has been the problem. You are removing subsidy on education, on electricity, on healthcare. So what's the point of government? Why does government exist? Because every Nigerian is a local government of his own. You provide your power, you provide water and all those things. So why do I need government to come and collect taxes? I think we need to change our priority in this. It's just unfortunate that this Tinubu administration is just, is just not ready to sweat the hard stuff. They are not ready to think of innovative ways of, solving Nigeria's problem. They're just there now. The concentration is grabbing power by 2027. That's the concentration. It's not about making the country better. They are just interested in. So anybody who says anything, the other day, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina said, "I'm available for service at any level." They quickly went after him. That the man had to come back to clarify. What is all that? What is all this? Why are they being paranoid about power? You have power, you're not doing anything with it. 8 years of Buhari was a total waste. And then you want us to endure another years of the low-cost. I mean, we actually deserve better in this country.
Very true. Innocent, your final thoughts, please.
Still on this?
Yes, still on the matter, on the whole issue, because it's multifaceted. Actually, we can go on and on, but of course, what we should just wake up. Okay, should move on. All right, we can go on and on this matter, but of course, we just have to let it slide for now. We have more interesting stories here. Military should be barred from elections in Nigeria. That's coming from Jonathan. I do not know what the facts are on that and how relevant it is, but of course we just have to let it go for now. Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you very much.
I do appreciate both of you.
My pleasure.
Right. So we'll be on for our main conversation in a bit, and just to let you know that Emeka will be here, of course, to take us on that. That's when we return at Chiku Slam's APC for power grab once of democracy threat. That in a bit. Still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go anywhere.